Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I'm here continuing to work on Junk Journal January, hosted by Meg Journals. And again, I will have all of that information or Meg's video listed below in the description box. So in case you guys want to play along, I think you can, even if you haven't started, you can of course always start at any time you want. And again, she gives us some prompts to create a journal every day, or a page in our journal every day for the month of January. And today's is day number 5, and the prompt is depth. And I have to admit, this one was a little tough for me. The two things that I thought of right away when I thought of the word depth were depth of focus, which is a term for photography, and then also like the depth of the sea, or something like that. And so I did decide to go with the depth of focus. You could also maybe do the depth of a composition or whatever, but I'm going to go with depth of focus just because my husband does do a lot of wildlife photography, and so I do hear that term quite often from him, along with some other ones when he's taking pictures, because I do go out with him when he's taking pictures of nature and just sit and help him spot things. So I'm going to go with that, and partly because I have some paper that's left over from a card that I made him a long time ago that's been floating around in my craft room. So I figured I could maybe do something with that. So again, I'm working kind of in this little sector of my journal, and yesterday we did the outline of the bird, and I added to this. And so I think I'm going to use kind of this little pages right here to do something. So I'm going to take this other stuff out. Again, I'm going to do all my binding at the end. So I'm going to set this aside so I don't do anything bad to it. And so this is going to be, and I debated about whether or not to just glue this on here and do a flip out, but I think I'm going to just use this as a separate page for now. I can always, do something there if I have to, and do a tip in or something, but I think I'm just going to do that and use this as my layout here. And so the paper that I have is from Bo Bunny, and this was the name of the paper, Mama Rozzy. And it had all sorts of, like, I guess this sheet doesn't, but it had some like cameras and stuff on it. I did pull out a couple more sheets, but I don't think I have them sitting here, because I think I just decided to use this one because it does have the word depth of field on it, if you guys can see that. And from my stash, I also then pulled out just some trim of some sort that I got in a kind of a grab bag at the thrift store. And so I was thinking I could maybe put that underneath the word depth of field, just to highlight the word. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I could, because I don't think it's going to fit this way very well, and I could cut it out, but I think I just want to use the paper up because I've had it in my stash forever. So I'm thinking I'm just going to do it this way and make sure that the word depth of field is on the page, and then highlight under here, because then I can maybe still add something right there. And then I needed some sort of paper for right here, just because it is parchment paper, and I think if I do any embellishing, I'm going to be able to see through it. So I did grab this one from my stash, and I can't remember who this one comes from off the top of my head. It's a digital that I printed for something else and didn't use. So I think I'm going to use this paper right here, because it does kind of have the blue and this kind of color that's, I think, similar enough to there to work. So I am going to tear this out real quick, because I'm thinking I'm going to lay that down. And then I did grab, a long time ago I did a nature journal, and my husband did print me off some pictures of his, and so I did have some of those left in my stash. I probably would have liked to have done maybe a different picture, but I decided I had to work with what I had in my stash and not print off anything new. So I did pull out one of those pictures that maybe shows the term depth of field, and I was going to grab my the dictionary to look up the exact terminology, but you guys can do that. But it basically has to do with, you know, making sure your image is in focus and the depth of it. And sometimes your images can be kind of blurred in the background, just depending upon how you set your camera settings. And so I chose one that it kind of blended the background into the photo a little bit, so you don't necessarily see all the details of the background of the photo. So, and I didn't tear this side very well. I got to tear it a little bit better. If I glue this one down, it'll cover most of the page here. So that's going to go there. And I could, I suppose, go around it stitching before I glue it down, but we'll see what the rest of this looks like. So there's that, and then I need to cut out this paper now. You know, it's kind of a fun paper collection, and I've made my husband several birthday cards with it over the years. Nothing like mixing current paper with paper that looks vintage, even though it's not. It looks like kind of some old wallpaper, digital. All right. And this will kind of work, even though this says field observations. I think this will kind of work. I was thinking, so here's the picture that I chose of my husband's. It's an elk, and it's bugling. It's making kind of its noise. It's trying to attract the females. And I think he took this picture in Colorado, in Estes Park, I believe. Or maybe it's Yellowstone. It could be Yellowstone too, but you can kind of see the background, how it kind of blurred out, and it put the elk towards the front of the image, even though in the background it's all pine trees, but it kind of blurred, you know, so that has to do with the depth of field terminology. So that I think is going to go here, and I still might put some other type of paper behind it. I don't know. And I'll have this here, kind of an interesting layout. And I do have some cameras, so I could, you know, stamp a camera or something and layer that. I'm just going to put that up here. I also pulled this little sentiment: discoveries are often made by not following instructions, by going off the main road, by trying the untried. So I was thinking maybe somehow I could maybe cut just the words out of this too, and maybe adding that. So I'm going to put that up there. So that's one possibility. I do have some rub-ons that came from that collection that I've never used. And so I could add, you know, there's a big camera there, or that little camera. There's also a film strip. So maybe, you know, maybe I could layer the film strip behind the elk picture. I kind of like that idea. I think that would be cool to do that. Yeah, I think I like that idea. And you know, I do also have this sheet of paper, and I have a ton of these sheets of paper. It was something I bought at Tuesday Morning, and you got like 25 sheets the same. And I use this paper, I cut out the little postcards and the different ephemera pieces on here. But this one I did notice had a camera on it, so that would be the other option, is I could do some sort of layering with that, you know. And then again, I'm going to put that there. You know, maybe I could stamp this onto a piece of paper and put that there. Or maybe up here. Just to kind of add to it a little bit. So I think I'm going to run with that for now. So let me get this out. Usually I use like a little popsicle stick, and I don't know if I have any on my desk or not. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but I think I can use a bone folder. So let's just cut this one out. And I'm just going to stick this behind here because I think a little bit that's going to run off. And let's just see if this works. Otherwise, I'll go find a popsicle stick. Yeah, this is going to work. I can see it coming off the acetate here. Yeah, I think rub-ons are kind of fun. I don't use them very often, but I have a couple floating around in my craft stash, so it's always nice to use something that you haven't used in a long time. I don't know if you guys have used rub-ons before. Usually it comes with a popsicle stick, but as you can kind of see, I don't know, I'll zoom in a little bit closer. You can kind of see how this is starting to get kind of a little bit more opaque. That's how you can kind of tell when it's come off. So I'll zoom back out. But they're kind of a fun little thing to add to projects if you have any rub-ons. All right, so let's look and see what that looks like. Like I said, it's kind of different. I didn't kind of miss that spot. I can see if I can get that one on there. There, that's a little bit better. All right, so that's what that looks like. Kind of a little bit of a different layout, I guess. I normally probably wouldn't have paired those together, but I felt like I needed something to frame this elk a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to sew on any of this, so I can go ahead and just glue this down. Unless, maybe I do need to sew him down because of the type of paper it is. I think it'll work better. So I'm going to go sew him onto the paper real quick and then come back and glue this. And I just want to make sure, because I think I want to use this sentiment up here. So I think there's still room for that if I place this right here. And I think the only other thing I want to do real quick too is I want to corner around the edges here. And I can still maybe even do a rub and buff on, or a rub on here too, maybe. Of the little camera. Yeah, I kind of like that, so I'm going to do that too real quick. I'm not sure that I'm sold on the camera up there. Kind of disappointed now that I did that. I don't like it. I do not like it. All right. Well, there's usually something you can do if you screwed up. Luckily, I have a little bit of a border, so I think I can cut that off. I could maybe put something else over it, but I think I'm just going to cut it as close as I can. And we'll just No, I definitely did not like that. So sometimes things happen. All right, so yeah, that'll work. Then there's even more room to add that up there. So I'm going to go and sew around this real quick. And I guess if I'm going to sew, I might as well sew around this one too. So I will be back after I've done that. So I did finish sewing around, and then I also glued down the images like I talked about earlier. This one I did end up actually sewing around the word depth of field just to make it stand out a little bit more, and then the edges. And then this one I just sewed around the elk. And I'm thinking I'm going to add this little label. I'm going to glue that down right here. I just feel like it needs something else up here. So I'm going to glue that down, and then I did decide to go with this camera, and I'm going to lay this down maybe right here. And then I'm going to put these little sentiments up at the top. So I just got to cut those out. And then somewhere on here I also got to stamp the number, and I have my stamp sitting here, I think. So this was day 5, I think. Yep, day 5. So I think I'm just going to use that part. I do have the guy's name. His name is Frank Tiger. Tyger is the name of the person that had that quote, but I don't think I'm going to add that. I'm just going to put these down. I'm going to ink the edges real quick. Or add a little bit of ink, and I'm just using Vintage Photo. Well, I have to say, I don't think I normally would have paired this paper with this paper. But sometimes when you're working with prompts, you do things that you never ever would have thought you would have done before. So I always like the challenge sometimes of working with prompts on projects. It'll be fun to see what else everyone is doing for this one, the depth one, whether or not, you know, if they thought of the depth of field, or if they thought of the depth of like the water of the ocean, or maybe the depth of a composition if they're more into, like, you know, some of the art terminology. So it'll be interesting to see what people come up with for this prompt. I know I'll probably show my husband this one since it is his photo, and I think he'll probably like that quote. And so I might as well glue this down to this little label. You know, maybe I'll find out for sure if this photo, if he took it, if it was either in Colorado or Yellowstone. I kind of think it's Yellowstone, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think I want to put that right there. Oh, boy, am I having a tough time with that glare. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe if I tip it up a little bit. I keep on forgetting to check that to see how bad the glare is. Yeah, I don't know. I think I want that there just because I have the binoculars there. And it's kind of interesting because the binoculars fit in too with, you know, going out and taking photography pictures. You know, especially if I go with my husband when he's taking pictures, I usually carry a pair of binoculars just so I can look at things. He just uses his camera if he sees something. He has a pretty big lens for some of his photography, and he has smaller lenses too, but the one lens is huge. I mean, it's bigger than what, you know, what I can show you with my arms wide, and it's really heavy. I have a hard time lifting it. It's pretty big, so he usually has to put it on a tripod. But it works good. He usually uses that big lens for taking pictures of birds. He usually doesn't need to take quite as big a lens when he's doing the elk, unless he's taking pictures of them from pretty far off. But so yeah, I think I kind of like that. So that'll work. And then I need the number. I need to stamp the number. Where'd that go? So where do I want to put number 5? So this one I had the number 4 down low, so maybe I should stamp this one up high. All right, so let's put this back in the journal. So there is my layout, I guess, for today. It turned out better than I thought. I don't know that it's going to be my most favorite. Other than, of course, I love anything that, you know, that my husband takes pictures of, just because he's the photographer. But, you know, like I said, it turns out better than I thought, but it probably won't be my favorite when it's all said and done. You guys will have to let me know what you think. And again, thank you guys so much for watching me today, and a little bit of struggling for trying to figure out what I was going to do. But I do like it for the most part. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. And I will see you back again tomorrow for another episode of Junk Journal January. And tomorrow it's going to be much easier. The word is embossed. So I'll be able to do something with embossing powder or embossed paper. So that one will be a little bit easier to do, I think. So looking forward to that one. And so I'll see you guys back again tomorrow. So have a wonderful day and happy crafting.